So this is not my ESRI pass. This is just Father Joe's. This is Father Joe's. I'm not gonna go in there, but I still gotta send those people an email. Like we've been talking about the text story. This is 13 July 2026 in time, but this video is for eternity. And so in eternity, what we're talking about is going to be a continuation of our Dark Parts of series Wisdom, where this is a book we're going to be publishing. And if I have an idea about a particular chapter I want to talk about, if I've got an idea about an idea that appears in the book, I'm just going to come on and give you a little bit of a preview of it. And so let's go right into it, which is we're going to talk about what I did in elementary to spin out of the reality they were trying to force us into of what we call slow learner outcomes. Back then they called it general learner outcomes. Now they call it slow learner outcomes. SLO, that's slow learner, community contributor. Donald Trump doesn't have to be a community contributor. What value is he? Well, his value is he has all this real estate. That made sense to me. Community contributor. And it's like slavery. No. So here's what I did. And yes, I talk about my 3-level system, my 3-tier system: San Bernardino, Mount Diablo, Diabolical, Diablo Burger at Carl's Jr., Matthew Ursua, that's the mountaintop. And then you've got Humboldt. So that's, if you're in real estate, you're in California, you know what that is. There's a magic to it. All across the landscape, 3 things. And so that you don't know the true beauty of it, let's look at, and you see this in a couple of places. One place is in Orange County. I think it's San Luis Capistrano. I'm not going to edit this in there, but there's 3 crosses with the middle one raised. So they just say it's got something to do with Christianity. So Jesus, like with sex, because when the woman wears the cross necklace and you're banging her, looking her in the eyes, it's that's the thing with it. It's there's nothing we can do about the fact that we are in the flesh, and there's nothing we can do about the fact that we have to buy real estate, and we have to show you a couple of houses, and you're gonna have to put in an offer. But it's all part of the beauty of it. A list of airlines. I made a list of airlines, so everybody else was being, and the truth be told, the problem with elementary, this is actually a perfect continuation of the video I just put up about seasons of love. Seasons of love. I don't say that, but I say, how do you measure? And this is what I heard. Well, this is what I saw, the light, and then my head interpreted the light. Every mind is a psychic broadcasting and receiving station. But the children are being whittled down through public school to be slaves. And really the best thing for them is just to get rid of the schools at this point. They need to get rid of the schools, a big waste of money. But everybody thinks about the social consequences of all of these teachers that took out student loans. Some of them, many of them, didn't even have them forgiven by Joe Biden. There's still some people, because of logistical situations, that still owe student loan money, and they went through life with these promises. Well, they should have been given bigger promises, bigger out of reality promises, and be a school teacher. So I talk about, especially in Hawaii, where you've got these high value properties that everybody has. Well, if the houses are worth so much, that means they must be nice houses. That means the kids should just stay in those houses and look at a computer to learn. And I mean, I'd rather they not look at a computer and have people in their lives that can take it from a computer screen to the party or to the dance floor, because it really does matter when I talk about speed of movement. But it's better than having to fill them all in, because what they're sitting at a desk anyway, looking at what might as well be a computer screen as a teacher writes crap on a chalkboard that's too low level crap. So if we're going to be learning this too low level crap, and you're not going to be teaching us all of the theorems of calculus out of like a Calculus 1 textbook, because that much like the concepts in physics, which they should teach, you don't need any of the notation for it. You have to understand it conceptually. We can add the notation later, and then you can reverse engineer your way back to arithmetic to figure out the things you want to figure out about the universe. That's what they should be teaching in elementary. But I digress. So let's make a list of global airlines, and let's just, everything I talk about, and you can come off as a genius this way, but you are a genius. Oh, he's not a real genius. He made a list in his head of global airlines. He knows the whole list of every airline from Wikipedia or wherever I got it. I did. And I just weave it into everything. And this guy's just spinning a list of airlines. And, eventually it begins to take on, where the airline and the story of the airline and the country the airline is from has relevance to something that we're talking about. It's a great way to practice being an incredibly skillful conversationalist, actually, because you got to weave something in it. We're all bringing in some context. And the context I'm bringing in, what I'm bringing to the table is, we're going to get on a plane. And I'm going to have a woman in a fur coat at San Francisco International Airport butlers packed my bags. I was really good carrying that bag, and I've got a nice suit on, and there she is. She doesn't have to tell me it's faux fur because in California, PETA. So that's the story. And I want to talk about how I made a list of global airlines and just would keep spinning that list over and over and over again in elementary school. The hottest girl in my elementary school, at least, was Nicol Lee, and she eventually became a flight attendant. As I look back on it, it may be because a psychopath touched her, me. How do I get away from this guy? She makes the assumption he's going to be, stuck in Y&I because he's somebody that's going to be not working a job at a high level or getting SSI or working some low-level job at 7-Eleven. So he's not going to be able to chase me on a Hawaiian Airlines airplane to Los Angeles or Vegas. I'm going to get away from it. I'd like to believe I inspired her. But we were both inspired by our 6th grade teacher, Norma Villarmia, who was a flight attendant for Aloha Airlines for many years before becoming a teacher. And that's actually the class in which we read a book I had talked about in one of my monumental series or monumental episodes about defending children's right to be on social media, Dragonwings by Laurence Yep. And I talked about how if you look at this, just like Charles Dickens and Great Expectations, you read that, I gotta make money. Charles Dickens, all of his books, you read that, it's all, I gotta make money, goes into a trance, starts hypnotizing everybody, and then they buy his, he wrote in Serial, but similarly with Laurence Yep and Dragonwings. So let's just assume, not all writers are rich family like Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks must be a rich family, like Taylor Swift must be a rich family, because it's like, okay, they pay New York Times to say bestseller, but the sentences could be written so much better. That's the way I like it minced better. So there you go. I made a list of airlines. I kept spinning it, but it was a crazy thing. People were then being brainwashed by the counselors, and they were told, don't interact with this guy. He's a psychopath. Stay away from him. He's, raping your minds. And so they were all being told to turn on me and don't interact with him, give him the cold shoulder, because I just wanted to spin my list of airlines because I'm not going to be under the slavery and we're going to be flying around the world all day with rental income. They had no clue what I was going to save them from. And, would you ever do it with some of those Japanese? We'll have to go into this later, but eventually because I broke someone because I was talking about, I was talking about Continental Airlines, or it might have been United. They eventually merged many, many years later, we all know, because the Continental tail is on the United plane. So, history lives on, board and death new. But I was talking about, I think it was Continental Airlines. And Kayla Yamasaki-Slattery, who, if you look back on it, even though I like the look of Nicol Lee, some people would say that was the hottest girl in my elementary, Kayla Yamasaki. I gotta pull up the yearbook pictures. I broke her, and she said, Japan Airlines, Japan Airlines, Japan Airlines. She's a little bit Japanese. And finally, I got someone to interact with me on the way on my terms that I wanted to talk about. Japan Airlines. Should have grabbed her.